Oh, you lucky listeners, welcome to NH Unscripted, where sooner or later, love is gonna get you. Yeah, that makes me your grassroots-like host, Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from the Hollywood Squares-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord, where I love to sit in the center square, the old Poland Square. You know the routine. I got my Nehru jacket on, my bell-bottom pants, and my platform shoes. You are required to kick back on your waterbed, light the incense fire up the lava lamps, because we have a beautiful show for you today. Fire up those transistor radios. The poor kids got the 8 transistors. All the rich kids got the 16. But hey, no judgment here, because you need to tune those over to 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester, and our beautiful busy URL is nhtalkradio.com. And I will let you know about all the things that go on out there a little bit later in the show. Right now, I need to thank my sponsor, the law offices of Shaheen Gordon in Concord. Well, they're all over the state, basically, but I really do appreciate their sponsorship. Get out your pencils. You know what you got to do. This is all legal stuff now. You want to put this on a magnet on your refrigerator or put it in your legal papers. ShaheenGordon.com is their URL. Their phone number is 603-614-5560. The other day, I happened to be out at their website looking at things that they kind of do. And, you know, it's funny the things you don't think about. That I was out there looking for some unknown reason, not because I'm needing a divorce, but I was looking at their section about solutions for divorce and family law issues. It's crazy what's out there that you just don't think about having to be covered, like high net worth divorce. Not exactly my category, but they do it. Child support, property division. Again, I don't think about it. Prenups, too late for me. Domestic violence, you know what? Their slogan, which is, everybody should know a good lawyer, right? Yeah, especially if you're going to be like that. Hey, you might want to start a business. They do it all. Workman's comp, personal injury. Yes. Again, their website is ShaheenGordon.com, and their phone number, one more time, is 603-614-5560. All right. Time to get to work. Someone reached out to me the other day after listening to a recent interview we did with Brendan Lee, and he wanted to come on the show and talk. And I was looking at his website. I got it up right now. We'll get to it in a little bit minute. But good morning, Albert Bramante. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Ray. Thanks again for the invite.
You are, listen, I have been looking forward to this ever since you reached out. Albert, why don't you give us a little bit of background about who you are, how you got where you are, and what you do?
Sure. Well, thank you again. My name is Albert Bramante. My full-time position is I'm a talent agent in New York, so I represent actors for film, TV, theater, commercial, print, and voiceover. I've been doing that for about 21 years now. I started off, in the performing arts industry myself. Realized it wasn't for me, but I loved being around actors and other creative types, and it really felt at home for me to start working with actors. And while I was doing that, I was also, in school for psychology. I did my bachelor's and master's at that time in psychology, and then went back to school in the mid-2000s to early mid-2000s to receive my PhD in psychology. And in 2015, I received my PhD, and so it's kind of juggling both. As I teach, I'm a college professor, so I teach psychology. And, it's kind of like blending both fields. So that's something, that I've been up to. And then recently, I wrote my first book, which was published in 2024, Rise Above the Script, Confronting Self-Doubt and Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists. And, here I am today. So I, work with actors and other creative types. My primary full-time obligation is to provide employment opportunities. However, I also, help with mindsets and help with, working with, any blocks that they're having or issues of self-doubt that come up. So, hence, why I wrote the book.
So, there's a lot here I want to peel back and get into.
Sure.
First of all, let's back up a little bit. How do you even get started as an agent? It would seem to me that A, that would be a very full field already. But B, how do you go from being an actor to say, you know what, I think I can be an agent here? It's a lot of work, wouldn't it be?
It is a lot of work, and I think a lot of people who are not in the industry would think that it's all glamour, and there are some great points. I'm not going to be honest with you there, but it is a lot of hard work, as you said. For me, it was a gradual process because when I left acting and performing, when I realized it wasn't for me, I started helping out like at film festivals, started volunteering at places. I started helping with casting with short films. And so during that each time I would build up actors, like reputation, build up like files with actors, relationships with actors.
Got you.
And I came to the conclusion, well, I'd like to mentor them. I'd like to support them in any way possible. So, and I found myself, would recommend an actor to a filmmaker who was looking to film a part. And I thought, well, this person would be great for it. And they wound up booking the role. This happened a few times. And I realized that, well, maybe there's something here. Now, for anyone who's looking to become an agent or manager, what I recommend, something that I did not do, which I maybe, looking back, I should have done, is to intern at an established agency already or a management firm, just to get the experience and to see if it's for you or not.
Mm-hmm.
I started my whole thing organically off the ground, which I had to work really hard with. But I also developed relations with other, managers, agents that helped me up along the line that I owe a lot of, gratitude for.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of really networking and asking for help and support along the way.
Man, oh man. Albert, before we get too deep, why don't you give us your website address and even if you want to, where people can get your book?
Sure. My website address is albertbramante.com. My agency website is bramanteartist.com. And my book, again, is Rise Above the Script, Confronting Self-Doubt and Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists. It is available on Amazon. I also have an ebook and an audiobook that you can get on like Audible or Google Books or even Apple Books. Wherever they sell audiobooks, our book is available.
Nice. So you don't work by yourself in the office, right? Do I see that there are two other folks at least who work there with you?
I have an assistant who helps out with pretty much the administrative stuff, which is kind of like my right-hand gal or person. I also have someone who helps me to do commercials who's part-time, who's a contract with me. So, and then we have interns. Because there's no way I would be able to do this myself.
Yeah.
Totally. I wouldn't be able to do
it. Because, is that because, okay, so help me understand, what exactly, do people send you, I don't know how an agent works, I should, but are these companies or commercials or whoever, they send you that they're looking for certain talent and then you have to go out and look for them, or what makes you that busy? How does all that come about?
Sure. Well, we, sometimes we get direct emails from client, casting or corporate clients. We also, sometimes there's a couple websites that we subscribe to that are available for agents and managers.
Okay.
That put like the daily, everything that everybody's looking for, all the film projects, all the TV projects, and what they do is they send us the roles. They post the roles, every role.
Got you.
And then our job is to find who who's on our roster that fits to that character or that part.
Yep.
And then we pitch, to that.
All right. All right. Hang on a second. Hang on 1 second. Ooh, we got a lot to chat about. You are listening to NH Unscripted, where it's too late to turn back now. I am your Cornelius Brothers-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the YMCA-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. You can smell the pool chlorine from here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. Yeah, that's Concord. Yep. 101.9 FM for the beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Albert Bramante, the agent from New York, is on the line with us, and we have a lot to talk about. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted, you lucky listeners, where we are looking for a double shot of my baby's love. I am your swinging medallions-like host, Ray Dudley. Yeah, coming to you from deep within the bunkers of the WKXL studios in Concord. Don't try to find us, we're underground. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios or your Sony Walkman, whatever the plural of that is. 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. Albert Bramante, agent from New York, is on the phone. And we're chatting about casting. We're chatting about... Albert, I was looking at your website. I have it up here right now. Under the page of what we do. And there are some impressive companies that you have cast for.
Mm-hmm.
Hulu, Max, Netflix. Talk to me about what that's like.
Sure. Well, we book a lot of shows on that. We've booked several clients who had speaking roles or even recurring roles on The Orange is the New Black. When that show was on, a couple others Netflix shows like Survival of the Thickest, and then Hulu. We've booked a couple shows on that. Typical People, which is still on Hulu. Booked several people on that. And then, of course, we have people like on Law & Order SVU.
Yeah, I see that. That's
Blue
impressive.
Blood, Blacklist. So, yeah, I mean, we've had some successful placements, over the years, which is, something I'm really happy about. And I can attest that to not only just our hard work, but with talented actors we work with that constantly deliver when I need them to, and that's what makes me really proud to be an agent is the people I work with.
So when you are looking for talent or approaching talent, what is it you're expecting from them? Do you have like a certain criteria that you really do expect from them? Is there an age range? Is there a look? Is there like the ability to memorize lines? What is it that as an agent you're trying to find from these people?
Sure. I represent talent of all ages. I have talent as young as, clients as young as 7 and, as old as 85. So it varies along the way. The age thing is not an issue. What I'm looking for is confidence, professionalism, the ability to not just memorize lines, but play a character. So therefore, there should be some training already before they even come.
Okay.
Seeking an agent, an actor should have some type of training. Doesn't have to be a full-on, degree or a conservatory, but just some sort of training or coaching that they've already had. That really just signifies that they can handle themselves on set or on stage and be able to handle playing a character. So, and then it really depends upon what types of looks I'm missing. So if I have, I'm just going to use this as an example. I might have too many, a lot of young talent with blonde hair. So obviously I wouldn't take on any more of that demographic at the moment.
Yep.
Simply because I don't want to have too much internal competition happening. So I'm going to focus on what I'm missing. So sometimes I might be missing, an ethnically diverse talent over 50. So then I'm going to make sure when I look at the applicants that I'm seeking in that category, that if, anybody who matches that. So that's that process. And usually, the way we get talent, or the way that we get, on the radar, the talent's radar, in our radar, is we have on our website, of course, a form that anyone could submit for representation. We take a look at those like once a week.
You do that often? Yeah.
Yes. Because we get a lot. I mean, we get anywhere from 50 to 100 a week.
What?
People applying to be on the roster.
Then
we also do work with a lot of referrals too. So a lot of our clients currently may have a friend or a colleague say, like, I want you to check out this actor, and we'll usually be a little bit more keen to look at those first because they already have a little bit of social proof. Or
sure.
We also get referrals from other industry members, whether personal managers, or casting directors, or producers. Again, those are going to be on top of the list. And that's going to be like, okay, I'm going to definitely take a look. And then sometimes we'll go to showcases. Or maybe we'll support a client who's in an off-Broadway show, or we go to a showcase that's put on by several actors, and we find people that way. So there's a whole host of ways of methods that we use to find actors.
When people are reaching out, so you have an actual link on your website for submissions.
Yes.
And when they reach out to you, do they normally submit like a self-tape or anything, or do you wait to ask for that?
Ideally, we definitely a demo reel. Usually, we have like areas where they can upload them, or at least send links to it, whether it's on YouTube or Google Drive. But they will send the link over, and then if we don't have that, then we will request a self-tape. And sometimes what we've done in the past, where we'll send them a mock script and say, okay, this is a self-tape, because typically I want to see what they can do, because that's what I'll be. A lot of the auditions that we're getting are going to be self-tape.
Yeah.
So I want to see what they can do before I even find them. How they, what their self-tape setup looks like, what their performance looks like. So that there's no, surprises, or there's no, no revelations. I know exactly what we're getting into.
Yeah, good point. Do you take submissions only from folks in New York?
Technically, yes, or at least can they work at what we call New York local hire, which means the productions most likely are not going to pay for airfare or travel.
Right.
So if an actor, usually, let's say if an actor has family or friends in New York that they can that they can use as a resident while they're here, and they have travel miles or frequent flyer miles, or relatively nearby, then yes, I can work with people that are not in New York, but they would have to find their own way to get here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen. I'm up in New Hampshire, and I get a lot of things from like Connecticut and Rhode Island. They say you have to be able to report locally. And, that just means you have to be able to get there and be on set on time. And, so tell me, does what they're casting for, does that change? I mean, what's hot? What lately, what are these people looking for? Is there kind of a move in the industry that people are kind of leaning towards?
Well, I mean, from my experience, I mean, yes, there's always been a push for diversity. I would say, ethnically diverse, even gender diverse. Like lately we've seen like sometimes, non-binary, trans.
They actively seek them out? Is that?
Yes.
They do.
Okay. And what they're looking for, the reason why they're doing that is because they're telling these stories, representation matters.
Got you.
So, they'd rather hire, and I wholeheartedly support this, that if you're going to tell a story about, a trans or an LGBT story, they would want someone who authentically from that circle to tell that story, which I 100% support.
Yeah. And is that a growing market? I would kind of think it would be. I don't mean to be ignorant.
Yeah, it's slightly growing. I mean, and there's still traditional, but I would say the biggest trend would be diversity, just in general.
Got you.
And where I work in New York, the market is, they look for gritty actors, so not your typical Hollywood ingenues or cookie cutters, like people like real character actors.
That's a very definite adjective, gritty. Flesh that out a little bit for me. When you say that, what should somebody be? I mean, are we talking scars? Are we talking wrinkles? Are we talking tattoos? What's going on there?
Not necessarily that. What I'm talking about is, who you are. Like, don't worry about, when you're getting your headshots or your pictures done, minimal to no makeup. Like who you are in a natural day, like just a real person, a real New Yorker, so to speak.
Yep.
Not like an airbrushed Hollywood ingenue.
Oh, hang on. I hear the magic music. Ooh, baby. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, we got a lot of long, tall glasses around here. I am your Leo Sayer-like host, Ray Dudley, coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. My God, it's cavernous in here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Walkmans, oh God, 101.9 FM. The beautiful souls in Manchester. I am speaking with Albert Bramante, agent from New York. We got a lot more to talk about. I'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. Man, the time flies. Good grief. Well, anyway, we are 1450 AM, 103.9 FM. That's Concord-based. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL, and we are going through levels and levels of information as we speak with Albert Bramante, agent from New York. Albert, let's talk about... you had brought up some subjects... off air that you thought like tips and things that you need people to know. Well, let's get into that. Go ahead and fill me in a little bit of that stuff.
Sure. So what I often tell for especially young actors or those that are just coming out of school or making the move to New York or even LA, you're going to do that, to have a long-term plan. What I say is like at least a 10 or 20-year plan. So if that means having a survival job or other ways for income that, could support you.
10 to 20 years?
At least.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Man. Okay. All right. Making notes here.
Yeah. Also, I want to kind of dispel a couple of misconceptions that I often hear a lot.
Yeah.
What I often hear, a lot of people will tell me, oh, I want to be an actor, but I'm afraid of all the rejection. So here's the truth and maybe a reframe, I would say. The truth is you are going to get a lot of no's than yeses.
Yeah.
And no matter how good of an actor you are. That's the reality of it. There's hundreds of actors applying for one single role. Only one person can get it.
Correct.
So I say there's no such thing as rejection. It's not rejection. Because it's not personal. It just means your acting services are not needed right now at the moment.
That's a great point.
So, I think the reason why I say the whole 10 and 20 years, I've noticed a lot of young actors will get disillusioned or, burnt out after a couple of years, and they wind up, going into another career field. So... are
you saying they get burnt out auditioning, or they just get burnt out with the industry?
I think both. I think it's a combination of both. Because of getting all the no's. Because again, as an actor, when you're auditioning, you're putting sometimes you're you're being vulnerable and you're putting your heart and soul into something. And it may not work in your favor. So that sometimes can cause burnout. And then, of course, just, they may get pressure from their family, from their loved ones by saying, I think it's time to give the acting thing up. Because they may not understand the industry, the family or friends. So there's those two things, I think, are really significant pressures to cause an actor to say, I want to step away.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you mention that, because somebody told me one time that you can't fear that rejection because you have no idea why they rejected you. Somebody said, you could look like their uncle who they hate. It doesn't make any difference if you're good or bad, but you remind them of their uncle who they just can't stand. So or it's either that, or you're too tall, or wrong eye color, what they're looking for, or just that the actor brought the actor who booked the role brought something that was needed. So giving a great audition obviously is extremely important, but that's only one piece of it. You could give a great audition, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to book the role. Yeah.
Or they're going to get the part.
Yeah.
And the important thing even though New York or LA are relatively big towns, the casting community is very small, which means that the casting director is going to work on multiple projects at a time, and in their career. So if they keep calling you back in, that's the key, relationships. So if you can develop a working relationship where a casting director becomes a fan of you as an actor, that's a major win. So just keep auditioning. And also another mindset tip for anyone who's performing, anytime you have an audition and it's over, let it go. Don't focus on it anymore. When you send that tape in, or if you're auditioning in person and you leave the office, let it go. It's over.
Albert, that is such another great point. Oh my God. I can't tell you in my early years how I would just agonize over not hearing back from anybody, because a lot of times you don't even hear back. They don't even give you a rejection.
No, like I said, no news is news. Think about it. I don't even hear anything back. We rarely get feedback. So it's either the only time we're going to get contact from the casting director is if they're in a mix for a role, or if they were really not so good. So it really depends. Most of the time, you're not going to hear anything.
Man.
So that's why I say let it go.
Yeah.
And move on. So I also tell the actor, as soon as the audition is over, your next goal should be securing your next one.
Yeah, wonderful point. Absolutely wonderful point. I see on your website, you folks cast for a lot of things. There's film, theater, commercials, voiceover, kids. Do you recommend that any of those that people start, was one easier to get a foothold in? I mean, let's say theater, and for you, it's got to be very difficult, because casting for film and casting for theater are two very different things.
Absolutely, 100% correct. It really depends. A lot of the the bachelor's or master's programs in performing arts are theater based. So it may be easier for those graduates to start in theater because they already have the training in that. Commercials and voiceovers are a whole different animal. A different vessel. Yeah. So with commercials, it's all about real people. So, you have to really have a personality improv, the ability to improv, to do well in the commercial space.
Did you say improv?
Yes.
Why is that important in commercials and not so much in, say, film?
Well, it's important in all aspects. For commercials, because again, it's about, a lot of times commercials, you're going to be playing yourself, reading even though you may be reading copy, or a lot of times you may be doing action.
Yeah.
So the ability to just have that flexibility and freedom, and even comedic timing, is important.
That's an excellent point as well. It's funny. I saw an audition notice. I didn't fit it, but in the notes it said needs to have good comedic insight or.
Yeah, and commercial. That's gold for commercial. So I often recommend, especially in New York or LA, to get some Upright Citizen Brigade or some improv training if you want to work in commercials, just to have that muscle. So, and then film auditioning for theater is different than auditioning for film, because with theater you have to be loud and expressive.
Yeah.
When you're on camera, the camera is so tiny, so you have to really be tiny. Otherwise, if you're too expressive, it's not going to be real.
People cannot understand that reference. It to say be tiny, absolutely will fly by almost 100% of the people, because you don't know what that means till you're on set and they're like, no, smaller.
Yeah.
Smaller. You got a microphone. Smaller.
Yeah.
It's
almost like say the line as if you were talking to a friend. Say the line as if you're going to be ordering coffee from somebody, like in that monotone way. I mean, you still have to know the character, but that's how it is.
Yeah.
What I often tell, especially actors who want to be on TV, I was like, watch a lot of TV, not so much for the enjoyment value, but just watch the acting. How casual it is.
Okay. I was going to say, what do you suggest that they look for and make note of?
The communication style.
Yeah.
The tone of the show. Like, Law and Order will be different than, I'm trying to think of other shows, but Law and Order would be different than The Equalizer, would be different than Elfseth, so especially if you're in a region that has a lot of shows filming, watch the shows that are filming in that region. So if you're in New York, watch a lot of New York shows. If you're in LA, watch a lot of the shows that are filmed in LA.
Hang on, Albert. Hang on, my friend. Hang on. Woo. Yep, just like that. 3 blocks down. You are listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, we're kind of on the poor side of town. Maybe not. I'm your Johnny Rivers-like host, Ray Dunley. We are coming to you from the Gong Show-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord, and I am not the unknown comic. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. Albert Bramante and I are chatting up acting. We'll be right back. Baby, welcome back to NH Unscripted, where we should be on the cover of the Rolling Stone. Yes, we should. I'm your Dr. Hook-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the Green Acres-like digs of the WKXL studios, where Mr. Haney would say, oh, you wanted rungs with that ladder? 1450 AM, 103.9 FM in Concord on your transistor radios. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. You can go out there. There's a button you can click. Listen to this show live. Actually, anything at all that's taking place here live, you can click that button, listen to it. And all the archives of not only this show, but all the other great programming here, it's all out there, baby. All the archives. You can just go spend your whole weekend just listening to archives. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. Mr. Bramante, could you give us one more time your URLs?
Sure. AlbertBramante.com, BramanteArtist.com, and feel free to reach out, and I'll get right back to you.
So you don't have any problems for folks from New Hampshire sending you information. You might be like, oh, good grief, New Hampshire.
Well, no, I don't mind having conversations of what we're talking about. I'll answer any questions.
Yeah.
And as far as if you're doing representation, as long as you can get to New York, relatively quickly, I'm fine with that.
That's good to know. It's good to know. I was looking at your commercial page. Dude, you've got stuff listed for Spotify, McDonald's, UPS. That's crazy. You've cast for all those things?
Yes, over the years, absolutely.
My goodness. Are there some that you prefer casting for over others? Kind of, I don't want you to.
No, I mean, we
don't point anybody, but.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, I wanted to just to clarify something. We help casting. We'll submit to casting directors.
Got you.
So they're the ones that will cast. But
Excellent point.
we submit all the time, and our goal is to get our clients working. So, and whatever capacity, whatever medium, a win is a win.
Great point.
The way I look at it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your book. Your book is called Rise Above the Script. So tell me, what does that mean? Why did you write the book? And who do you think its target audience is?
So I wrote the book, the reason it's called Rise Above the Script, I'm not talking about an actual physical script. I'm talking about the internal script that you're using, on your day-to-day life. So when I first started, close to 20 years ago, when I was in the midst of everything, I was noticing a lot of actors there was a big disconnect. Like, I would have a lot of actors tell me they want to work, but yet their actions were telling me something different. They were coming up with excuses why they couldn't go on auditions. They sometimes would no show on an audition, and I couldn't figure it out. And for the life of, for a long time, I was like, why are these actors just shooting themselves in the foot? And so I wanted to study this in detail. And, I have a PhD, so I did that for my doctoral thesis. Why do actors self-sabotage?
Wait. That is so contrary to the industry. Why would you be in an industry where you need to be able to audition and perform and yet shoot yourself in the foot by not doing it? I don't get the connection there.
Well, that was me 20 years ago. I couldn't figure it out.
All right.
It was mind-boggling because it wasn't just one. I was seeing this a lot, and I would talk to other people in the field, the industry, other colleagues, and the same thing. So the one thing I wanted to figure out was what is really happening here. So a lot of it has to do with fear.
It does.
Fear of failure, or even fear of success. So
I get the fear of failure. Go ahead.
Yeah, fear of failure, fear of success. That's a major issue, and a lot of times we don't even realize that we have these fears, especially the fear of success. That's a sneaky one, but it will hold you back. So I wrote the book because I want to have conversations around this issue. I think we have to have conversations. And even though the book is written for performing artists, it actually has enough material in there that helps anybody. So even if you're not an actor, we all deal with issues of self-doubt and self-sabotage. There's a lot of stuff in there that, that can help with that. So, it's not just for actors. Even though it's in the title for performing artists, it's not just for actors.
Man, the irony here is so rich, because this is an industry, or industries, I guess, where success is kind of the point. you want to perform well on the stage. You want to perform well in film or in commercials. Mm-hmm. To self-sabotage seems so opposite. Man, oh man. So what tips do you give people? Can you give us a little highlight of the book? What are you suggesting to them to do?
One is change the mindset, what I said earlier about the whole idea of rejection, that there's no such thing as rejection. What I also say is there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. That's another thing I would say. Which means that even if you mess up on an audition, it's not the end of the world. Learn from it. Whether it's an audition, interview, a performance, learn from it, and the show must go on, and just keep going.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Also, watch the language that you use yourself and to other people. Like I only work with professional actors, and I don't, and I think everyone should refer to themselves as a professional actor, even if they're not necessarily working at the moment. What I discourage are phrases like "I'm a starving artist" or "I'm a struggling artist."
Interesting.
Or "I'm an aspiring actor," because that sends a reality that things have to be hard. And there's a good chance, if you have that mentality, that you're not going to be performing at your very best.
When you are auditioning people, do you look for those red flags? Are you aware, since you're a PhD, do you have a habit of like looking for those little red flags and helping people point those out? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, again, as soon as I say I'm an aspiring actor, or wannabe actor, or the word I'm a starving artist, I'm struggling, if they're telling you that from the get-go, or even telling themselves that, is going to be a red flag.
Do you have any, so kind of, since we're getting near the end, and I hate to cram this in, but do you suggest that just anybody, if they're even interested in any of these fields that we're talking about, theater, film, commercials, voiceover, blah, 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 do you push them to just do it? Just go try and do it?
100%. Because the biggest, and this is I'm going to switch gears here and talk as a psychologist here.
Sure.
The biggest source of regret is not the mistakes you've made. The biggest source of regret is the missed opportunity, what you didn't do.
Ooh.
And that's what people regret most on their deathbed, what they didn't do. Or, the opportunity was there and they didn't take advantage of it.
Man. Boy, that
do it.
Yeah, that hesitation. Well, how many roles did it cost people just hesitating?
Mm-hmm.
So as we go forward here, real quickly, I know we're going to run out of time. Please give us your URLs and where people can get your book.
Sure. So my URL is BramanteArtist.com and then AlbertBramante.com. And the name of the book, again, is Rise Above the Script, Confronting Self-Doubt and Mastering Self-Sabotage for Performing Artists. It's available on Amazon, Kindle, and wherever you get audiobooks.
Okay. And when people are actually going out to your website and they're looking, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on here. Where would I go first? Do you prefer to get people coming from theater, or do you prefer people coming from film? Oh my goodness.
There's no preference. Whatever the strong suit is.
There you have it. Albert Bramante from Bramante Artist, agent from New York. Sir, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time today.
Thank you again, Ray, for inviting me on.
You are welcome. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. Yeah, it's a hot time summer in the city. I'm your loving spoonful-like host, Ray Dudley. We are coming to you from the dating game-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. And thanks again to Albert Bramante and our sponsor, ShaheenGordon.com in Concord. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next one.